Hello, I'm Luna, an astrologer and tarot reader of over 8 years. I have had the joy of guiding over 1,000 clients on their own personal astrological journeys, and today we're going to be talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's transits, which are basically where are the planets right now and how are they affecting their respective lives. So we can take a look at, like, you know what? Are they engaged? I think I read somewhere that people are like, there's rumors that they're engaged, so we'll see, is there positive reception for that? And if you would like your own personalized reading, you can head on over to my store. The link is in the description below. There's a huge eclipse season sale going on, 20% off all the store products, and essentially, the readings are just like this. I will take a deep dive into your chart, your synastry, if you're looking for relationship advice or if you're dealing with a career situation, whatever it is, we will take a deep dive look into it. All the info is in the link below. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So this is Taylor Swift's chart. Now, this birth time is a little bit iffy. I am going to do a few predictions based on this chart. However, I'm mainly going to focus on activations and aspects as opposed to basically these little pie slices. They tell us about the different life areas, and that's how you can get really specific with what might be going on. So this chart is not super reliable, but I do want to take a look at maybe transits that may be coming through her seventh house in case this is her chart. All right, so the main thing that I'm really noticing is this Pluto-Venus activation. So Pluto entered Aquarius back in November of 2024, and it's actually been going in and out of Aquarius. Pluto's been like kind of transiting back and forth here for about 2 years. I want to say since like 2023. I don't know how long these two have been together, but anybody who knows anything, let me know if they got together during a Pluto and Aquarius transit, which I think Pluto entered Aquarius for the first time the summer of 2023. I could be wrong, but I think that's when this transit began. However, now Pluto is fully, for the next 20 years, in the sign of Aquarius. Now, what this means is Pluto is a planet of transformation, big upheavals, huge endings, right? We are completely digging deep and taking out anything that's been buried, and we're facing reality, and we're forced to end cycles. Now, interestingly, Taylor has a bit of a reputation for being someone who dates a lot. That's not surprising with someone with a Venus in Aquarius. Venus and Aquarius people tend to have a lot of relationships. They like to date a lot. Someone that I think is actually really interesting is Hosier. I love him, and everybody's always like, "Oh my God, like he writes these such deep, beautiful songs, and he's so romantic." I'm like, yes, he has a sun in Pisces. But his Venus in Aquarius, if you want to know how he actually feels about love, maybe listen to that song, Someone New. And he's talking about how he falls in love with someone new every day. That's exactly how Venus and Aquarius people are. And so Pluto activating her Venus is going to be a shock to her system. It means that any cycles, patterns, especially toxic patterns that she may have been in her connections, are being forced to an end through drastic disruption. Now, this could be, first off, Travis is a little different from her usual partners. Maybe he's teaching her something, right? They have a sun-moon conjunction. I'm pretty sure I probably already posted that video. You can watch it now, their breakdown of their synastry. And so he really understands her, and he sees her, and he uplifts her, right? And his Jupiter's on her moon. He's very giving and generous with her. He's a very optimistic man. But their main problem is that they're a little different, right? They think a little different. They come from different worlds. And that's actually what Venus and Aquarius is about. It's about learning about yourself through people who are very different from you, right? Aquarius is all about contrast. Pluto being on her Venus means, are you emotionally unavailable in your relationships, right? Aquarius is a card that's very quick to detach. I love how I said card. It's a planet or placement that's very quick to detach. Venus and Aquarius people, they fall in love really fast, and they fall out of love really fast. A lot of times because they fall in love with the idea of somebody. Aquarius is a very intellectual and mental sign. What this means is that these people are very turned on by and attracted to the mind of the people that they're around. So you don't have to be that attractive with the Venus in Aquarius. Well, especially for women. For men, it's a little different. But especially for women, they fall in love with men of all shapes and sizes and colors and, types, all of the above. And that's because they're learning about expanding their worldview. However, it also means that because they are most interested in people who are interesting and different from them, once that novelty dies and the relationship becomes a little heavier, emotional, messy, deep, there's responsibilities, they are very quick to think, well, it's just not working out. I'm going to find somebody else. This pattern is being challenged for her. Now, how this manifests, she might have very intense relationships during this time. She did. She had a really big relationship with Travis, and it's been all over social media. Everybody's been in on this relationship, and it's definitely been a defining moment in her career. She's like doing the Eras tour. She's dating Travis Kelce. He's winning Super Bowls. Like, she's selling out stadiums, and it's like out of a storybook. But Pluto is also a realist, and it shows you your darkness. It shows you your shadow. And what I think, this is my opinion based on what I read in their previous chart, I think that she might be realizing that even when perfect shows up at her door, even when someone pretty good shows up at her door, she's still not quite satisfied. And now we have to face the reality that maybe there's a problem on the inside, and it's not the people we're choosing, but maybe we're using relationships to run away from something. So this is going to be really deep. Now, this is going to be amplified because the North Node of Destiny, it's actually going to be entering Aquarius 2026. So that's a little ways off, but this will be her nodal return. The nodal return is essentially that. It's the North Node will come back to where it is in her birth chart. So she has a North Node in Aquarius. When the North Node enters Aquarius, she will go through her nodal return. Now, what's interesting about this is that she has her Venus in the same sign as her North Node. It means that beauty and love are a really big part of her soul evolution, her self-actualization. So when the North Node enters Aquarius, her life is going to be forced to get back on track. It means very fated events will take place. And because her Venus is here too, it could mean that her relationships will reach a karmic test of some kind, and they're already being tested with Pluto on Venus. Now, this could be a marriage transit. It is a really big deal. However, it is forcing her to move away from this South Node in Leo, which is a little self-centered. It's a little like, me, look at me, let's get in the spotlight, right? She's kind of addicted to fame. The South Node in Leo, she really likes everybody to be in her business. And I think when the North Node enters Aquarius, she might kind of realize that she's being pulled away from this traditional, look at me, popular girl, cheerleader, dating, the head of the football team archetype. And she might come to realize that maybe her path is a little eccentric. Maybe her path to love is not conventional. Maybe what she's been chasing isn't actually something that fits for her, but maybe something that she thinks will bring her validation. Who knows? I don't know her, so we don't really know exactly how this is playing out, but we can see the energies, the themes. The next thing that's happening for her is she will have her Jupiter return this summer. Jupiter's been in Gemini, and it's going to be in Gemini until June of 2025, and then it will enter Cancer. And this will be her Jupiter return, which is the same concept as a nodal return. It just means her Jupiter is in Cancer. So when Jupiter comes back to Cancer, that would be her Jupiter return. This is also pretty positive for engagement and marriage and celebration. However, it's also, because it's conjunct her moon and her Chiron, a time where she's going to dig really, really deeply into her inner world. And she's going to be forced to maybe face the reality that she might escape her private life by performing her private life for the public with the South Node in Leo. And she might be faced with the true insatisfaction that she's actually dealing with, a Jupiter Chiron wound, and it's with her moon. So, just looking at this, it seems like she might realize that what really fulfills her is not always what looks the best or what brings her the most fame or attention or maybe what clicks in the public eye. And she might come back to those roots. She might kind of take a step back from the limelight a little bit. If they do get engaged with the Jupiter in Cancer transit, it's because she's doing a lot of inner work, and she might be facing her fear of emotional vulnerability, which is interesting because a lot of her songs are really deep. And, Moon Jupiter people are very emotional. They have really deep, deep feelings, especially in the sign of Cancer, but her Chiron's really, really, really close right here. This means that she may have a belief that she needs to be needed, or that she needs to make herself useful in order to be loved, or she may even have a wound around being too much. Moon Jupiter Chiron people, especially just Moon Jupiter people, they are too much. They have really big feelings, but that's actually their biggest blessing, because Jupiter is your blessings, and they have such a beautiful heart. But especially the sign of Cancer, it can feel like a weakness, right? Chiron in Cancer. Why do I care so much? Why is everything so complicated for me and so easy for everyone else? why is it that I enter relationships and I always care the most? But what if with Travis, she doesn't care the most for the first time? Maybe he does take care of her. Maybe he does listen to her, even if they're from a very different world, even if he doesn't really get her at an intellectual level, he still maybe connects with her at an emotional level. And maybe she's forced to realize, wait a minute, I find perfect and I'm still unsatisfied and I'm still running away. Why is that? Maybe it's a deeper wound. Maybe I feel like if someone can love the version of me that's very emotional and too much, then how can that be real, right? Sometimes we reject people who truly love us for who we are because you know what they say, we accept the love that we think we deserve. And this Jupiter in Cancer will actually directly activate their moon Jupiter Chiron conjunction. But guess what? It's part of this giant T-square in their birth chart. I mean, in their synastry chart, which means that this may also open a can of worms about some of the incompatibilities of the relationship in the long term that maybe are not related to emotional processing, but maybe are more related to who she thinks she is, what kind of life she wants, her values, the structures that they have in their life. I don't know if he's still a football player. Maybe she's like, hey, like, is this really sustainable? Like, if you're a football player and you're always, I don't know, doing whatever football players do, you're really busy, I'm really busy, how would that work? Right? Maybe she'll be like, well, I don't know, I can't settle down with someone who is gone all the time. I need somebody who fits into my schedule. Right? I don't know. This is just hypotheticals because I don't really know what's happening in her life. But these are the themes that are coming up, right? Logistical issues in the relationship will become more obvious. And then she will also have to reflect inwardly and ask herself, okay, do I want to get out of my comfort zone? Jupiter's about expansion. Do I want to face my fear? Do I want to face my fear that I'm too much? Do I want to face my fear that no one can love me because I'm too much? And what if someone does love me even though I am too much? Do I believe them? Or does that make me run? Does that make me scared? Right? So this is really deep. She's going through some very soul intense kind of transits. She's also had this Mars on this Chiron. It's been tickling this wound for a while. So Mars Chiron in Cancer, I wonder if she's like, man, I'm getting old. Do I want to have kids? Do I want to have a family? Do I want to get married? Why am I not doing this? Why is this so much harder for me? Chiron is where you're wounded, and Cancer rules all things domestic. Marriage, babies, settling down, getting a house, having a husband. And that is being really exacerbated right now. And guess what? It's been activating this Pluto-Venus. And this activation is going to happen again this summer. Mars is going to reach this little tipping point between Cancer and Leo. And it's going to oppose this Pluto and her Venus. This might be a really, really big deal for her. This could be a relationship ending if she decides to leave Travis over this. She definitely seems to be in a place of emotional conflict or emotional indecision with this placement. Mars has been retrograde for months, since like November or December, which means that there's an area of her life that she's been wanting to change, but maybe doesn't know how and is fearing that she's self-sabotaging. Mars retrograde is like, am I being reactive? Should I react? Am I am I being too sensitive? Is this, my wounds are flaring up. Why am I sabotaging? Why do I want to run away? These kinds of things are coming through. And as Mars reaches closer and closer, this activation right here, this Leo Cancer little spot, it was activated back in like October. And it's coming back around, which means that she might finally make a big deal decision around the summer. Maybe that's a breakup. Maybe that's having a really serious conversation with Travis. Maybe that's an engagement. Who knows? But this is a little explosive. I would say this is a little negative. I don't know. I don't know how that will play out for them. Taking a look at his chart, see what's happening for him. So he's also been dealing with, I don't think they've been on good terms, guys. This Mars Chiron on both of their Chirons, and that's going to be reactivated once Jupiter enters Cancer, right? What did I say about this little cluster? This could go one of two ways. It could mean that they have been triggering their fears. Both of them have been, usually when you're in a relationship around a year or 2 years, you guys start to kind of get into those deep stuff, right? Your wounds start flaring up, your shadow starts coming out, you start self-sabotaging, you start bringing your own personal wounds and projecting them onto your partner. That's definitely been happening between them. But the good news is a Jupiter-Chiron conjunction, and especially with transit Jupiter entering and really helping that Jupiterian quality, means that this could be growth-oriented. So even though this could be really difficult, if they get through this could actually make the relationship stronger and can have them create a much deeper connection. But there's a lot of wounding that needs to be addressed between them. All right, what else? He's got this South Node Mercury conjunction. He's reflecting on the past. Maybe he's thinking about leaving something behind. That could be a relationship, or maybe he's thinking about an ending coming up in his life. Maybe he's desiring transition. Maybe he's outgrowing something in his life. That could mean a lot of things. Maybe he's outgrowing a communication style. Maybe he's outgrowing a job opportunity. Maybe he's been working on some sort of job situation and he's like, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore, or I'm rethinking that. So he's in a period of reflection as well. So they're both in a period of reflection. I think the relationship is going to be hitting a major peak this summer, and I think it's going to define, like, make or break this connection. If they make it through this summer, I think they could get married. If they don't, though, I think that could be the end of this connection, for sure, with Mars and Chiron and Jupiter forcing growth and forcing you out of your comfort zone. And like I said, you know, Jupiter is a very positive planet, but when you have Chiron there, a perfect example of this is Blake. Blake Lively's going through a Jupiter-Chiron activation. And what that means is the same way that Jupiter can expand abundance, it can also expand suffering with Chiron. It can expand your wounds. And what that means is, for example, if you're really insecure, Chiron in Cancer, you're really insecure of being needy, of being too much, of being overwhelming, of not being capable of creating your own life, right? This would be like a fear of motherhood, a fear of marriage, a fear of starting a family, a fear that you will repeat patterns in family dynamics. Those things will become amplified. And if you're not healing, you will continue to self-inflict wounds. So with Blake, her Chiron's in Gemini, she has a fear like, people are talking bad about me. People are going to gossip about me. People are going to think I'm dumb. People are going to exclude me for the group. So I'm going to make drastic measures because I'm so scared, because my wounds are being activated and people are bullying me and people are being mean to me and people do think I'm dumb. And guess what she did? She made everything so much worse, right? Because instead of facing her shadow and saying, oh my God, you know, people are gossiping about me, let them. It's just talk. She couldn't. And she had to take things so far that now she's dealing with so much worse. And the same thing goes for Taylor. If she has a fear of vulnerability, a fear that she's too much, and then she starts acting erratic, or she starts accusing people of like, oh, I don't think you're capable of taking care of me. I don't think that you would actually be able to deal with the real me. Or, you know, feeling like, oh, I'm too old to get married, or I'm ruining my life already. Like, people have already had a bunch of kids. Like, everybody seems to be getting on with their domestic life and I feel lost. If she's not healing this quality, she's going to perpetuate the very cycles that she fears. And the same thing goes for Travis. He's part of her healing story and her breaking patterns in love with Pluto and Venus. If he did enter her life during a Pluto-Venus transit, it's a really significant relationship. He is showing her something, you know, his sense of self and his way of pursuing things is opening a can of worms in her emotional conflict. Her mental and emotional conflict. That means her moon and Mercury are at opposite ends. So what she feels she wants and needs are at odds with how she rationalizes and makes decisions. So she may often do the opposite of what she feels is right, or do the opposite of what she thinks is right, instead of integrating those two parts of herself. So this got really deep. I do want to just ask directly to the cards and see, you know, is marriage in the cards for these two? Have they had conversations about this? Is this something that is unfolding between them? Let's see. Two of Cups, Two of Swords. Nine of Wands. Page of Cups. I love how multiple cards came out. All right, let's see. Queen of Swords. Let's do one more. Yeah, I don't really see this happening. I don't really see that happening for them. You also have the Five of Wands at the bottom. The Two of Swords came up earlier in the last reading I did on their Synastry chart. So the Two of Swords is a card of indecision. It means there's a stalemate. It means I'm not getting married, but I'm also not moving towards marriage. That's not a great place to be. It means the relationship right now is directionless. The Two of Cups is a card of partnership, of, you know, connection, of genuine relatability. However, it means that they're keeping the relationship, they're not letting the relationship grow. right? The Page of Cups, the page is a page. It means youthful. It means young, small, new. And the Nine of Wands means there's a guardedness here. I don't think Taylor's moving the relationship forward. I think she is the one that's keeping the relationship where it's at. But I think that there's mutual confusion about where the relationship is going. Two of Swords is like, we're not talking about it, we're not looking at it, we are ignoring it, or we're pretending that everything is good and it's not. The Page of Cups, Queen of Swords, tells me that she's a very logical and intellectual person. And she may be very harsh with her words, she may be very harsh with herself. Five of Pentacles also tells me that she doesn't feel like this relationship is completely fulfilling. The Page of Cups means she thinks this is fun, this is cute, this is romantic, but realistically, Queen of Swords, like when you start adding up the numbers and, you know, dotting I's and slashing T's, this relationship doesn't fit. Five of Pentacles. Let's pull a few more cards. She's very independent and self-sufficient. Six of Swords. She is in a period of transition in her life, but I don't think it's marriage between them. Yeah, Five of Cups. There's so many fives. Fives are conflict, and Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck, if you guys remember. Those are conflict. That means we're clashing. And might I remind you, there's a giant T-square in the middle of this relationship. And I think it really comes down to, he's really sweet, but he doesn't really get me. Queen of Swords. I'm really smart. I'm really cut and dry. And I feel like he's beneath me. Five of Pentacles, I'm sorry. It's a card of like, you're beneath me. She feels like she's smarter than him. She feels like she's more direct than him. She feels like she's Nine of Pentacles. She's very self-sufficient and she thinks highly of herself. And the relationship is failing her in some way, but she doesn't want to let go of it because it's kind of sweet. It's kind of nice. It's kind of romantic. But this lollygagging limbo stage is going to reach a head this summer. So don't be surprised if we hear really big news about these two around like May, June, July. That's when Jupiter will enter Cancer. You also have a repetition of that Mars-Pluto opposition. So it's going to be a big deal. So you guys let me know what you guys think is going on. But I think she's having a little bit of I don't want to say mental, but like, you know, like an identity crisis, a big, you know, like, let me reflect on what's happening in my real inner world and what I'm running away from through relationships and dating and fame. I think that's where she's headed. And if this is in fact her chart, there is growth coming to her in love and relationships, but you know what it might be? It might be, if Pluto in Aquarius is about breaking patterns, it might be a moment of like, you know what if I stopped dating for a second and just focused on myself, right? I don't know. All I can say is that she's going to break a pattern. That could be she finally settles down with one guy, although I think that's very unlikely considering what the card said. Or it could be, you know what, I've been in a string of relationships my entire life, and maybe my path is not the same as everybody else's. Maybe my path is not babies and getting married, right? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. So you guys let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.